Greetings, it's winter here in Texas and it's time to do some winter beekeeping. The first thing I'm thinking of is repairing any woodenware, painting any boxes, but also preparing gear for the swarm season. So I want to talk about swarms. Now the biology of bee swarms is the colony instinctively wants to reproduce and swarm. So at some point they build up the numbers, they make the queen cells to swarm, and they go off in a cluster and swarm. When they alight on their first location outside of the hive, that's a temporary residence, they'll then send out drones in all directions looking for a cavity. And looking for a specific size of cavity with a specific type of opening and a specific amount of light that they're allowed to have in the hive. So what this boils down to is the scouts are looking for a cavity about anywhere between 15 and 50 liters. And they're looking for a hole ideally about 2 square inches as the access, so it's defendable. And it's wanting to be about 6 to 10 feet off the ground. They do allow for exceptions if they find the ideal space, but it's too low, they'll still habitate it. Now European honeybees have a predisposition to a larger volume than Africanized honeybees. Africanized honeybees, they will accept a 15-liter sized cavity, while the Europeans, they tend to want to go with somewhere in the 30 to 40 range. They'll accept a 25, maybe even down to a 20 if nothing else is available, but they're after about a 30 to 40 liter volume. Now for us, what that means is when you're making a swarm trap or a bait hive, you need to make it between 30 and 40 liters. 30 liters is better for us because it's smaller and more manageable, but about 40 liter volume is about a deep and a medium. Now this is about a 30 liter hive, a bait hive. It's very simply made. You just have 4 sides, a bottom, and there's going to be a top. There's a hanging board, so you don't have to worry about chains and ropes. You just drive a nail into a tree and you hang it on the tree. Now the trick is you can buy pre-made swarm traps, and these are the conical flower pot shaped cone hives. They're about 31 liters. The problem is they're round, and once the bees get in there, they're going to build comb quickly, and now you've got to do a cutout. So they've got a big con against them. 2 is you have to buy them, and they have to be shipped, and they're expensive to ship, so they'll double the price of a hive. You go from a bait hive that was 15 bucks and it's going to wind up being 20, 25 before it gets to your door. You can make these pretty cheap, 3 or 4 bucks out of scrap wood. Anyway, so what you're going to do is you just want to build a box that's about 9 inches by 9 inches by 20 inches long, and you're going to get around 28 to 30 liter volume, and that is the perfect size to actually hang your deeps. So your next question should be, where do I hang a trap? Well, it's kind of obvious. You hang it where the bees are going to find it. Where logical places for a swarm trap is first anywhere that's going to be on the edge of a wood near water. For some reasons, bees like to have their hives on the edges of mottes, elm mottes, or of groves of trees. 2, you want to put it out in a lone tree in a field. For some reason, bees like to use trees that are used for navigation purposes, as in a landmark that the bee understands that's where a tree is, I know how to get to my hive from here. So that's a navigation tree that's going to have bee traffic. 3, you want to put it where there's already known feral hives, so that you're going to be nearby the cast of a swarm. When they swarm, you'll capture the cast. 4, you want to put it on all sides of your neighborhood. You want to catch any swarm that you throw off. Other than that, it's more art than science of where you want to put your swarm traps. Now on the cast themselves, on the swarms, when a hive swarms, the biology is that they'll send out a prime swarm, first swarm. It's about a third to half the volume of the hive, and it's going to be a big swarm. The second swarm is the bull swarm. It's going to be much smaller than the first swarm. And then if the hive is strong, it's going to cast off the third and the fourth swarm. So those swarms are going to be much tinier, down to the size of a grapefruit. They're still possibly going to be viable. You need to put them in a nuke once you catch them. Now once you catch the hive, once you catch that swarm, it's recommended that you leave them, well, you take the hive down and you put up another swarm trap immediately. Alright? Now why you do that is because that second, third, and fourth cast is possibly going to be coming the next day or the day after. So you don't want to have a swarm trap down that caught something, because the next day might be another swarm. So go ahead and have a spare swarm trap to replace the first one. Second is when you take that trap down, it's going to have your frames in there. Don't disturb them for about a week. You can take them, put them in your apiary, let them get reacquainted, and then after about a week, when they've had a chance to lay, when they've felt that this is a home, they have brood on the way that they feel that they cannot abandon, then when you go muck with them, they're not going to abscond on you. After that, you pull them out, and now your permanent swarm trap is going to have the smell of a swarm still in it. So it has value to you above and beyond a brand new trap. So you want to redeploy a successful swarm trap at a good location, because it's going to have a better chance of drawing in the swarm. Now, on drawing in the swarm, you don't just put a box up. You want to put about 5 drops of lemongrass oil on a corner of a paper towel, and you stick it into a Ziploc bag. And then you don't quite zip up the bag. You want to leave it open. You minimize the amount of speed of the evaporation, but you still want it to be to where they can smell it. And then every time you check the trap, which should be about every 2 weeks, you want to go put a drop or two of lemongrass oil on the outside. You don't have to worry about bringing it down and opening it up and putting a drop in there. That's too much trouble. Just put a drop of lemongrass oil on your finger, reach up and tap the hive, and it brings that scent out. The bees will do the rest. They'll find it. They have an excellent sense of smell. 5, 6 drops, that's it. Don't overdo it for the trap inside, the swarm lure inside. And I think that sums up what I know. Good luck in trapping.